Day amongst thieves. Something amongst thieves. Honor amongst thieves. When did that end? Honor amongst thieves. About when honor amongst politicians ended, and honor amongst talk show hosts. What about Polanski? What about Polanski with the 13-year-old? You know, there's a few things I have to say about this that are not being said. I watched the fraud show, Porn Vanity, the other day, and Porn Vanity, of course, took the normal position you'd expect from a knee-jerk, flag-wrapped Republican frontman, and right away said he's a pervert and a child molester and he should be brought back and basically quartered and over the coals. And everyone assented with Porn Vanity. Yeah, that's an easy one, sure, porn. But, you know, I thought about it, and certainly I'm not going soft on a child case like this, but do you know that the mother was basically pimping out her daughter? I read the transcripts going back a long time. The mother took the child to have sex with Polanski for money, number one. He didn't know how old she was, number two. The mother should be arrested, but she's dead. You want to talk about the whole case? Let's do it.
Savage.
Can't we be sweethearts? Why don't we fall in love right from the start? You're the girl I'm thinking of. Oh, can't you see?
It is the Savage Nation. I want to talk about the Polanski case for a couple of reasons. Here is a man who not only confessed to statutory rape of a 13-year-old girl, but then fled the country prior to sentencing. Now, there's a few things that need to be said. Some of them are conflicting, I admit. That's because I'm still thinking about this case in all of its depth. Number one, you got to hand it to the film industry. At least they rally around their own. At least they come to the defense of one of their own, unlike talk radio, which has absolutely no such loyalties. Now, it is true that he confessed to statutory rape, but you need to see the whole case. First of all, he's not the only Hollywood celebrity to be accused of child abuse. Woody Allen and Michael Jackson are certainly coming to mind. I'm sure if you spent a little time on it, you'd find that this is more common than you might think. And entertainment in America is the new religion. Make no mistake about it, the entertainment industry is the new church. Sex, violence, and money are the new trinity in the United States of America. And entertainment is the new opiate of the masses. And we don't want our supply of such entertainment opium disturbed by anyone, which is why a supplier of this opiate, one of the suppliers of this opiate, a sort of, you would call him an entertainment supplier, an entertainment dealer or creator, Polanski, is protected by his own. Now, why is there no outcry? Why is there no outcry about this? Let's go to the church situation. What if the Knights of Columbus decided to give an award to a pedophile priest who had fled the country to avoid prison, asks Father Tom Reese? He says the outcry would be universal, right? Victim groups would demand that the award be withdrawn, and the organization would be forced to apologize. So-called reporters of religion would get harumphing in the newspapers, and editorial writers and columnists would denounce the Knights of Columbus as another example of the insensitivity of the Catholic Church to sexual abuse. And they would be right, he writes. And he would join them, he says. So why, then, is there no such outcry with regard to Polanski? Well, there's a few reasons. First of all, they say Polanski never set himself up as a moral guide. Oh, okay, so that's an excuse? He admitted guilt early. That's certainly not an excuse. He did flee. Now, from the point of view of law, he does have to come back and face trial. If the original accusations against Polanski and his arrest are retried and he is found to be innocent, then he will walk. If he's innocent as he says he is, if he says the judge was reneging on his promise of a plea bargain, well, then perhaps he should come back and face the music. But it's quite relevant to the issue, the germane issue, that he must come back, incidentally, and face a trial here in Los Angeles, and I'll tell you why. There's another famous case of the killer of a girlfriend in Philadelphia many, many decades ago. He was the man, by the way, Ira Einhorn is his name, who created Earth Day, a big, fat, blubbery, loudmouth, fraudulent, phony, communist vermin protected by Arlen Specter, while Arlen Specter was a district attorney in Philadelphia. All-Inspector was then a Democrat. He's now a Democrat as well. He's always been a turncoat. I've called him a turncoat for years. I told you he would do this eventually. Anyway, All-Inspector was the classic double-talking, compromising, two-faced phony that we have come to expect in politics. And All-Inspector helped get this murderer, Ira Einhorn, out of Philadelphia. Now, Einhorn hid for 25 or so years in Sweden and France with his Swedish girlfriend, and with a little help from his liberal friends, he avoided extradition back to the United States for a very, very long time. In fact, it was heard by the French Supreme Court several times. Once they said no, we don't have to. It doesn't have to go back. But eventually, Einhorn had to come back, and it was all due to the efforts of only one woman, and that was a dogged district attorney in Philadelphia who said she would spend her every minute getting that man back to trial. He came back, was found guilty, and he's now in jail in America, facing a life sentence. But he did come back. He was extradited. I believe Polanski has to be brought back, and he has to face trial. Now, having said all of that, I believe that there are circumstances that need to be discussed here as well. First of all, this alleged rape occurred in Jack Nicholson's house. By today's laws, is Jack Nicholson culpable for the offense? I don't know. Should Jack Nicholson have to face trial for some offense? Maybe that's the reason the entertainment industry is going berserk. He is a gigantic money earner for the mafia in Hollywood, for the entertainment industry. And the mafia in Hollywood, the entertainment industry, certainly doesn't want to lose a prize director and a prize actor. So they don't want them in court. It's bad for business. So that's why they're lobbying to make sure that he never comes back to face punishment. Now, if Roman Polanski were a Republican, this case would already be closed. He'd be already on a plane. That's number one. But let's look at some of the other issues here. By what I read going back when this first occurred, and I'm not justifying what he did, the mother was the type in Hollywood that brought her daughter around for sex, for money and exposure in the movies. You go back to the 1930s, and there are stories of, I think, one of the major Hollywood moguls who constantly had mothers bringing young girls, even younger than her, so that this old, disgusting pervert could have his way with them. I know the man's name. I don't want to say it right now because I have enough lawsuit problems to deal with. I think you can know who it is. In fact, he was portrayed in The Godfather when he comes out of a room in the mansion with a little girl. Do you remember that? And the mother takes her away? It was almost a duplicate of the Polanski. So the mother brought the girl around. Now, I read the transcript on Smoking Gun the other day of the original prosecution in the court. And he asks this 13-year-old girl, did you ever have sex before? Yes. Did you have blank sex before? Yes. That's how I know what it was. Did you ever see a Quaalude before? Yes. Did you ever use a Quaalude before? Yes. So this was used by her mother to gain money and probably entree into these circles and also into possibly the movie world. I don't know. That's number one. Now, do these excuse the behavior? Do these circumstances excuse his behavior? Not by today's law. I don't think by any law can he be excused for having sex with a 13-year-old girl, particularly when he drugged her with Quaaludes and alcohol allegedly in Jack Nicholson's house. 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 Now, of course, we're not saying Jack Nicholson had anything to do with this. He wasn't there. But it was Jack Nicholson's house, and we don't know by today's laws whether that would be any kind of issue for the owner of the house. I do know that if you rent your house out or lend it out to a friend and they sell drugs in it, you lose your house, don't you? Today, if you have a guests over and they deal drugs and the DEA breaks in and seizes the drugs, do you lose your house? I really don't know. So there are many, many tentacles to this case. So the defense of Polanski is an interesting one. He has to defend himself. And he has to come back and face the music here in order to deal with this. And we know that he transgressed once. We don't know if he transgressed more than once. And there's no evidence that he did so. But this is Hollywood, and he is an entertainment dealer, the same way a drug the drug lords would defend the drug dealer in court with the most expensive shysters the money could buy. The entertainment dealer will be defended by the best shysters that money could buy. My guess is that the entertainment shysters will grease the palms all the way up and down, and that Polanski will never come back and face trial, and it will soon be forgotten. That's my guess. You want to talk about that or not? Phone number 1-800-449-8255. Not a big story. I mean, you could argue that Polanski did set himself up as a moral guide. They say he's not a priest, and therefore he shouldn't be judged as a hypocrite. Some of his movies did have a moral message. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest supposedly had a moral message. I remember seeing the first big movie of his, A Knife in the Water, which I actually loved, incidentally. I mean, he's a fabulously talented director. But that does not take away the fact that he drugged the girl, raped the girl, sodomized the girl.